What is up, everybody? You're not going to see me yet. You're going to see some opening credits. We just had to get up and move for a second because we're old. And that's what happens when you are old, my friends. Here we go. What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, ESPARZA, coming to you with a brand new installment of the Grappling Hour and inside BJJ's The Bullpen. I hope you're having a great day. We are having an excellent day. We are here to preview Week 4 action of the PGF. And it's been a busy few weeks, my friends. We've been traveling all around. And you know what's nice about it is we get excited every week talking to you guys about the main action that's about to take place in Week 4. And I have brought my longtime friend, Tim Freeman, to help me preview some of these things. Tim, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Raph. It's, last time I was just here for a quick in and out. I got the whole show. I'm ready. We had a great week last week with PGF. We got Week 4 coming up. It's going to be a banger, and I can't wait. It's great to see you, man.
It is great to see you too, Tim. And I have to tell you, one of my favorite things about doing this show is the amount of surprises that we have week to week. And that sometimes there's even surprises that you and I don't know. So what we're going to tell you right now is we're going to do our best to tell you all the information we think we know. And that some of that may be fluid in itself. Some of that may actually change on us. So please, just know all Week 4 action that we are currently bringing to you is the best that we know at this exact moment. So for that, we usually like to play a game here at the very beginning where we allow Tim 1 minute's worth of time to fill us in on everything that happened the previous week. Tim, are you ready and capable of doing this in 1 minute this week? Because last week you did not do it in 1 minute.
Man, I am not super prepped, but I think I can do it. Yeah.
This is the third time we're doing this, so you have the prep for it. It's just you have to believe in yourself. Like, think about what Tim the coach would tell Tim the competitor right now.
I would have told him, you should have prepared 3 days ago, son.
I mean, that's kind of what Coach Raff is saying here. But Tim, I believe in you. I'm going to put the camera on you. Tell the people what happened in exactly 1 minute in Week 3. Your time begins now.
So, Week 3, it happened just like we said it was going to happen. It's a tough week. And a major thing happened in that the team started to separate from the bottom of the pack. The Tropic Thunders have 15 team points right now. For a while, everyone was kind of in the hunt together, but those top 3, the Twisters, New Hope Kings, Dolomer, they all pulled off quite a bit of ways from the Tropic Thunder. So it'll be interesting to see how they recoup from that. Jet Thompson resurrected. He had a great night. Landon Elmore is making a great name for himself. And Chris Olivo continued to dominate. He sits atop the fantasy points board, and Christos Papadelos also continued his reign. He is at the top of the board in the PGF actual points. So not a lot, but also a lot at the same time.
You know what? For the most part, that was pretty on. Like,
not too bad. Okay.
Not too bad. Not too bad. You actually kind of got it in there. I didn't have to do the play you off music this week. What I can tell you is, yes, we do have some emerging leaders in terms of points, which is very fun to watch. But what I have found was last week was an interesting week in that we were seeing the emergence of not only our star players, Dominic Mejia coming right into the action and making a statement, being in the top 8. And what you're seeing this week are some ties right in there. But I want to remind everybody, just because you're in the top 8 does not mean you are actually going to make the playoffs. So it is not an assurance. The best thing you can do right now is to get points on the board as much as possible. Whether it's a 3, whether it's a 6, just do your best to get that. And for me, it has been incredibly difficult to watch people be disheartened if they don't get points in round 1 and remind them you still have 2 more at-bats that night. So it's been a little bit of an interesting mental grind that's been happening. Tim, how has it been playing at home for you?
The PGF, one of the things that they really picked up on, I would say, in week 3 for the home viewer is giving all of the submission highlights, the team highlights, the important moments. Truth is, if you don't watch it live, you got to be a real jiu-jitsu head to go back and watch 5 hours of it. But if you miss it, it's super easy to go back and watch all of the action. So I feel like for the home viewer, that's been a big, big plus. And personally, as a sports fan, I have been digging the acquisitions, the waivers, the moving around of the athletes. It brings a whole nother element of drama and tension that doesn't exist if it's just one-on-one matches in a tournament format. So those two things have really made it fun. Fantasy's been great too. I think the home viewing experience is really elevated for the PGF. I've been reading a lot of good feedback from people that are watching. They're talking about multiple promotions, and the PGF is getting a lot of love out there right now. So it's been great.
Would agree with that, sir. So why don't we go ahead and move on to some new updates that we have for everybody who's really watching right now. And thank you, by the way, GS7, who says, it's been wild, PGF killing it. Thank you very much for that. We should get now to some advancements in the knowledge that we do have. Now, reminders going into week 4 action. This is the best information we know right now. Things can always change. We know that. But Tim, what are some updates that you can give us about what we can expect for week number 4? Your time will begin right now, sir.
Well, the nature of week 4 is that the guys that stay in the hunt and in the pack usually will get to the playoffs and the team finals energized. You can kind of see that second win kick in. The guys that are right on the edge, though, and there's a handful of them right now. There's several dudes that are kind of tied up. I think it's right around 13 points. There's a whole slew of them. Those are going to be the guys that are going to have to really battle in week 4, because if you have a rough week 4 and you drop from tied for 8th place to now you're in 13th place, that can be quite disheartening to come back in week 5. But if you have a good week 4 and you're one of those guys and you're able to bump up maybe to number 5, that feels you like nothing else. So it's going to be a big psychological battle going into week 4. I think week 3 and day 3 is usually really a physical test. Like, can you do this? Week 4 is very much mindset. So I'm paying particular attention to those aspects of the athletes going into it. News wise, man, there's been some drops, right? So, and I can't, let me check out the names here. Are we allowed to say this, Raph? Am I allowed to throw this out there? These names that we got that,
Yes.
look like they're out. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. So it looks like the Thunders have picked up Jordan Worth from the free agent pool. So, hey, there's a move that they made. Jordan is obviously capable of scoring points, so he's jumped to another team. And the free agents for this week are Michael Moeller and Matt Ferraro. So I don't know where they're getting the actual waiver pool talent from, but so far those are the names that have been kind of moved around. What do you got for me, Raph? Anything you've heard about or come across? That
the only other thing really to discuss is the reason why they picked up Jordan Worth, the Tropic Thunders, is because Zach Schneider is going to remain out this week. Zach Schneider last week in a very tough match with Matt Mash took an injury. He sat out for a little bit, but at the time, I want to say there was somebody else that was replacing him. I thought it was Nick Saff that was actually replacing him at the time. So it is a little difficult to keep all of this in line. So if I do say this wrong, my apologies. But it does look like the Tropic Thunders are going to elect to keep Jordan Worth on their staff going forward. So it raises a few questions because it does look like Armin Bruni and Brady Hilton are still not back. So there is a possibility they could be back in the future, as with Robert Blackledge. I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty, but it's been interesting to try and figure out who belongs where. Jordan Worth, as you mentioned, is somebody who can put points on the board. So having him as part of that roster is a very interesting thing. And you could tell like he didn't really want to sit out live and in person. He really wanted to get back at it ASAP. And sometimes you have to take a strategic sit. And I think that's what happened. So I'm happy he's going to be pulled back in. And, well, what better way to say they don't know what's going on than Nick Saff himself, who affirms my confusion and says, I don't even know what's going on. And that's Nick himself. So if Nick doesn't know, and I say I don't know, there is some confusion. Nonetheless, this is the best information we have at this current time. I think it is also an interesting thing that they've created an injured reserve policy. So this is kind of the beginnings of how does this work and where does this person go and how does that work? And it is interesting because I think we saw a little bit of this last year. I want to say there were a couple guys, if not one, that because we had so many injuries in season 7, there was another individual or two that got to play on 2 different teams. And that's just the way it kind of runs when you have a bench that ends up getting impacted multiple times. So I wonder what the unity is going to be like on Team Tropic Thunders. They are in a place where I think the rest of the game might be running away from them. So this is an important week for them.
Yeah.
And I have to assume if you're a Zach Schneider and you are taking this rest, you might be in a place where maybe you're coming back and starting to be a little more selfish about what you need to do. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the team cohesion is. It is a difficult place for them to be just in terms of points because, Tim, do you have the points that they have on hand?
For which athletes are we talking
Let's
about?
do this. Let's talk about the team standings. Okay.
Yes. Okay,
Team
let's
Dollimer,
go teams.
65. Alabama Twisters, 57. New Hope Kings, 54. And Tropic Thunders, 15. So, I wonder if this week we see Team Tropic Thunders either make a last stand, become potential spoilers for other divisions and other in contention teams, or do we see them start to play a little bit for their own selves to try and make it into the playoffs?
Yeah. Interesting, man. I wonder if we'll see athletes get waived and picked up by other teams as an act of like, well, we'd like you to try to get on another team that might win.
Well, Nick affirms part of this by saying, I know I won't be there next week. So, Nick, that just was more confusing to me. At first, I thought I was getting a handle on how this is all going. But if you tell me you're not there next week, what does that mean? Does that mean that everybody who's on the injured reserve list is just going to hobble over to the mat and be like, nope, can't take this away from me?
Yeah, right.
Or are they pulling a Seth Rollins where they have an injury, they're on crutches, but then they do a Money in the Bank cash in and come in for the final matches? That stuff can happen. I don't know what is happening anything further than what is listed. So there is that. But yeah, Tim, I would say this. I would say that going into this week, the Tropic Thunders are probably in the worst position of all of them. And it's kind of interesting because we've seen somebody who
Oh
had one
yeah.
of the biggest pulls in JJ Bowers, who has essentially kind of become like a de facto leader of that team. And he's hyping up his boys. Last week, we saw a big emerging performance from John Chandler. CJ Murdoch hasn't necessarily broken out, but has had some exciting matches. I don't think he has the points to show for the intensity that he's put out, and he's had some rough matches. So you're looking at that team, and it's not a bad team, but with Zach Schneider on kind of like injured reserve this week and a very capable Jordan Worth, that's a significant amount of points that they need to put on the board. So it doesn't mean it's impossible, but they kind of have to run the table from here on out.
Yeah. They're going to really need Jordan Worth to get off with a bang. They're going to need John Chandler to have a great night. They're in a tough spot. I mean, 15 points, how many points are they behind the next team? It's quite a bit, right?
It's
Alabama
about 40. It's 39.
Yeah. They're going to so what does that mean? That means they're going to have to run one of those other teams. And I just don't see that happening. Maybe if they get some good matchups. I don't know what the matchups are specifically for the Tropic Thunder, but maybe they have some beneficial matchups, but there's no other easy teams out there, man. They're all stacked with good guys. So.
Well, think of it like this. Their number one points performer currently is Zach Schneider, who is out this week.
Yeah.
Their second points performer is CJ Murdoch and JJ Bowers, who are tied. And that is followed by John Chandler, who has 1 point. So even then, they had Nick and they had Jonathan. So it's a lot of tough points positioning where being that far behind makes it difficult to come back in. I wish them the best, but that is a difficult place to come in. So I do wonder if you are Zach Schneider, it is probably smarter for you to rest out this week, because come back week 5, you want to make a run at that playoffs, because he is currently 12th place and he sits alone.
Yeah.
But a kill would put him right back in playoff contention. And even actually, if he got a break, he would be tied for 8th. So
yeah,
it's a lot to do, but we shall see how it plays out. And that's just assuming the points don't stay at all. Like, that's assuming the points just stand still. There's a lot that still will happen this week, friends. So
right.
I think we've kind of talked about that enough. So if you're Team Tropic Thunder, just know this is your week. This is where we got to see you do it. And don't dispute the fact that you can play a spoiler in this, because there is power when you become a spoiler. And as Tim mentioned, we're not sure if people can go to the injured reserved if that is the case. But you may not have the power to win the grand prize, but you can definitely spoil the grand prize and still make the playoffs. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. I agree with you. And, when your team isn't doing great, like when the Giants were terrible, but they would spoil the Dodgers, then I walked away with a moral victory. I'm like, my man, beat LA. Yeah. It's like you can have 3 wins in the season. As long as they're against the Dodgers, you're good. Yeah. This is that's a great point, man. I would definitely be hyping my guys up to spoil somebody's week 5, man.
And I always thought, when I walked out of a Dodger game, and maybe they didn't win, but I stabbed 3 Giants fans, that was really the moral victory.
Yeah, that's about the way it has been in the past.
Bro,
but
listen, everybody knows how this goes. You may check me at the front. I will make a shiv out of something in Dodger Stadium. I will figure out a way. Mexicans are very resourceful here. So I'm just saying. Be like, oh, Mr. Elote Man, can I borrow that real quick? This is if you do it right. It could be a shake. We'll see what's happening.
Yeah, this works.
Tim, why don't we look at some of the week 4 matches that are important to look at for this week as we advance the board. And as I transition this board, just anything in your mind that you want to say before we start looking at these very intense week 4 matchups, sir?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys who are yes, I know daily stack. I know it's week 4, but if you go out and you spoil someone in week 4, then their week 5 is going to suck. That's why I said week 5, my man. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm paying close attention to that log jam at 8th place, especially Anthony Gojani, because this is a dude who kind of looked like he was just talking some smack and was going to be silly and wasn't going to make a run. And now he's in a legitimate spot to get into the playoffs. And that's a pretty great showing, man. If you can bring some sauce and you could perform, it's a good chance you're going to get called back.
Okay. I'm looking at this list of 5 matchups, and I wonder, how do you not see Jet Thompson and Hoffa Freya as the match to watch in this? Because both of them make or break times, right? Jet's come back alive. He's getting points now. Hoffa has been somebody who has been so exciting to watch, but isn't at the top of the leaderboard here. So we're in a weird quandary where we have these 2 amazing talents who maybe don't have the points that you would assume they do. So that would be an interesting one to watch. And as GS7 says, the Kill are going to make a comeback this week. By the way, the Kill sounds like a really great indie band that I haven't heard of in the past 20 years. But yes, I think you mean Kills are going to make a comeback this week. If they do, it's going to make a huge significant difference on this whole thing that we see on the points board. And I argue, if you get a few kills in there, Team Tropic Thunder could make a comeback. That is the way to make a comeback. You will not make a comeback with just breaks. You're going to need some kills sprinkled in there, because that 40 points, man, even just thinking it out loud, Tim, in trying to get back those 40 points from kills, do you know how many chokes you need?
I mean, you're going to need
7.
For 40
Tim.
points, you're going to need
at least 7 to cover the extra points from that.
Yeah, but that's still not even.
No, it would. It would be 6 times 7, and you would hit 42.
Oh, got you. Oh, yeah, kills are 6. I was thinking 3 for some reason. Yeah.
Well, 3, bro. I don't think we have enough matches for 3s. On 3s,
right.
You're looking at about, what, 13? 13,
yeah,
14, so 14 just to get there. 13 just to tie.
Is it fair to say that week 4 is essentially mathematically, this is make or break for the Thunders, right? I mean, because we can get to a point to where there won't be enough matches potentially unless they pull out, 10 subs in a row.
Yeah. So we are telling you this, and it says, and if you get that many kills, you're probably winning the block too. That is fair, Cole. That is an accurate statement. You would likely, although imagine tempting the math gods to be like, well, you got 3 kills, you still lost. Wait, how? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know. I would tell you this. I think it is likely your best case scenario, maybe 2 kills in a block of 5, maybe vaguely possible, but let's look through these matches and see if we find any more holes. But I can tell you right there, Dom Mejia, Gojani, that is a fun one to watch as well, because Gojani got a little bit of confidence, but Dom has been on a tear. So great pickup there. Tim, we're going to move now to our next set of matches that are coming up. For week 4, you got Derek Rayfield, JJ Bowers, Landon Elmore, Jonathan Wilson, Christos Papadelos, CJ Murdoch, Mike John and Jordan Worth, and Spencer Ortiz and John Chandler. Where do you start on this one, sir?
I mean, Molina is Where's he sitting on the board right now? He's near the top. He's at number 4, right? So he's not. It's not like he can coast. And he's going up against Ardilla, who still I think has a chance to break in. He's sitting at 4 points, but he still has a chance. Sergio's very, very good. I'm looking at that match in that particular batch of guys. Rayfield Bowers, I think, is going to be interesting. I don't know if Bowers has underperformed or not. I think there might just be a chance of a guy who went high in the draft, and so the expectations are really high unnecessarily. But for me, I think that's the matchup I'm looking at. I'm looking at I read number 5, man, but that's okay. I'm going to go with number 5 anyway, even though we talked about it already.
Okay. So you're going with which one for this on as your pick?
Let me grab another one because I picked the number 5 match, which we already talked about.
Right.
Mike John, Jordan Worth, be interesting to see. John's kind of been out a little bit. Worth has too. Worth is in a situation where he really needs to put points on the board. So if I'm looking at these matches, I'm looking at it for where's the tension, where's the drama.
Well, let's look back at number 9, and here's good reason for it. Mike John and Jordan Worth already faced each other this season, and it is happening again because Jordan has switched teams. So Jordan was the one to injure Mike John in that first week. So I wonder how interesting this match goes. If you're Jordan, you have a huge target that you're looking at on Mike John. If you're Mike John, this is a redemption tale. This is your ability to come out here and show that, yeah, you could be that headhunter. And the unfortunate part about that headhunting is that headhunting was almost what opened it up for Jordan. So there is that. I want to point this out. We got a note here that says, hold on, let me use my egg voice. Block points don't count towards the team points totals. Block points are essentially bonus points for the individual members of the teams that win blocks. Sure, thanks.
That's true. That's true.
That is factually true, even if it's boring. And it says, oh, thanks, Egg. I didn't know that. An Egg with the stats and the facts. That is his job. That is what he is here for. Egg is our safety net. Egg is the person who gets it right, unless we have Jet Thompson's father who gets it more right. And it says, if every member of the team gets a kill in less than 1 minute for each point of night, correct, they could garner 105. No, don't do it. What are you talking about, Egg?
Mathematically, no team or competitor is limited until the last day. Right. No, I get it. Like, I could win the lotto, but I'm not playing. I mean, technically I could win, but I'm not gonna win. But I get what you're doing, Egg. I see you.
Here's why I don't like these stats. These stats give the glimmer of hope of like, oh, no, but we can do this. Like, our sliver of hope that we gave was it's possible. You'd have to get about a good 6 or 7 kills to equal things out. It's a rough night, but it's always possible. Meanwhile, Egg comes in here and goes, it's actually possible to get 105 points in a given. No, it's not. No one's ever gotten 105 points. So why are we ever going to just give them that idea? You can tell them what the ceiling is, but what good is that ceiling if you said we've never gone past this? Egg, your new challenge is, what is the most points we have gotten in one night for one team? Figure that one out. Riddle me this. It says, that's not a terrible Egg impression. That's like 50%. Most of my impressions are usually pretty dead on. That one's just me kind of half-assing it, if I'm being honest, Cole, but thank you for the kind words. Why don't we move now to our next set? This is match set 11 through 15, sir. Why don't we go ahead and look down these? Landon Elmore, Hoffa, Derek Rayfield, Banger. Sergio, Ardilla, Spencer Ortiz, Dom Mejia, Mike John, Matt Mash, Christos Papadelos, Chris Olivo. Tim, what are you looking at here?
I mean, I'm looking at all 5 of those matches. That is a killer set of 5 matches. I think the bookends, Elmore and Hoffa and Christos and Christian Olivo, I think those are the matches to watch.
Tim, here, you have to pick
but I'm gonna pick one
so that I can pick one. What am I
I'm gonna
supposed to
pick
do
one.
if you pick both?
I'm not. I am just pontificating on the great composition of this
I
5-match
know that,
structure.
but you're literally
I'm
being
going
like,
Papadelos
there
and
we go.
Olivo.
Thank you. I'm
That's
going to go with Landon and Hoffa. Just the nerve of this man being like, you know what? Who can pick? I'll just pick them all. I'm like, dude, when I make this in post, I have to make the graphic for this. So when you're just being like, I don't
they're
know, I'll
all
pick one
winners.
here.
They're all winners. Just for being
Listen,
there, you're a winner.
when you get your Miss America pageant language out of this show, ladies, you're all winners here. And it says those are all headliner matches. Thank you very much for that, Cole. You're not helping matters. But Derek, Sergio, I'll respect that one as well. Appreciate that. Spencer, that's a big, big ask for him. But Spencer's been wanting some action, so I'm happy for him. And Mike John and Matt Mash, listen, Matt Mash perpetually feels like he's the underdog here. And Mike John sometimes has been the underdog in the PGF. So anything can happen in that match. And we've seen Matt Mash get caught last week by Gojani. So it's never out of the question. Just remember that, because a lot of people were counting Gojani out. And he had one of the craziest submissions of the series so far. Why don't we move now to our match set of 4. This is 16 through 20. You got Jonathan Wilson, Anthony Molina Valdez, JJ Bowers versus Anthony Gojani. That should be fun. CJ Murdoch, Jet Thompson, Jordan Worth, Dom Lobo, John Chandler, and Juan Martinez. Tim, what take you, sir?
I'm going JJ Bowers, Anthony Gojani. I think, Gojani's feeling good. You mentioned the submission that he got over Matt Mash. It was fantastic in week 3. And I think he's going to be looking to pull off something similar against Bowers if he can.
On paper, I kind of like Jordan Worth and Dom Lobo for the unpredictability of that. But I am going to stick with John Chandler and Juan Martinez. So both of them, not the highest of point totals. There was some surging for both of them last week. Juan also, I believe, got his first submission. John Chandler, double money bag. Pretty impressive. So if those two show up properly, I think that's a little match that kind of sneaks in and kind of flies under the radar, but merits some worth and attention. So we will keep eyes on that one. Let's move now to matches 21 through 25. Matt Mash, CJ Murdoch, Chris Olivo, Jonathan Wilson, Hoffa Freya, JJ Bowers, Sergio Ardilla, John Chandler, Dom Mejia, and Jordan Worth. What is your match to watch in this one, sir?
On this one, I'm going to go with Sergio Ardilla and John Chandler. I'm really, really curious about what Chandler shows up on week 4. I think he's got a chance to make somewhat of an impact to his team. And I think Ardilla he doesn't just want to win, but I think he wants to prove something. So I'm looking forward to seeing that match.
Yeah, if you're Sergio, this week, again, is going to be critical. We don't know exactly how next week works. If everybody comes back for the reunion day and then they just are forced to play even though their knees are falling off. I'm going to go ahead and say some respect on Matt Mash and CJ Murdoch. Matt Mash, again, the ultimate underdog, has been putting in banger matches, win or lose, no problem. And CJ Murdoch has had some really, really fun scraps. I'd like to see CJ Murdoch make a good stand here against a very game Matt Mash, who, when he's on, he belongs right up there in those top 8. So,
yeah,
very excited for that one. And our final set of matches for week 4, Spencer Ortiz, Jet Thompson, Mike John, Anthony Molina Valdez, Christos Papadelos versus Anthony Gojani, Landon Elmore versus Juan Martinez, and Derek Rayfield with Dom Lobo. Tim, what have you, sir?
I'm going Ortiz, Jet Thompson. Thompson's on the leaderboard. We know he got some points. I think he's sitting at 15. Ortiz is around 7, so he's within striking distance. He didn't even play the first week. So both these guys are going to want to win. And I'm curious to see if Ortiz's wrestling can be effective against Jet. See what happens in that situation.
Yeah. Okay. On this one, I'm going to say the one to watch is Derek Rayfield versus Dom Lobo. That's a big
Yeah, that's a
stand
good
for
pick.
both of them, both 10th Planet for life. You don't always get 10p versus 10p crime, but they represent different chapters of the 10th Planet lineage. Derek Rayfield has been holding it down since he was a kid. Dom has been competing since he was a kid. And Derek was running away for it for a little bit. Definitely had some momentum, felt what he was able to pull off here, but Dom has 2 kills that he pulled off
Yeah.
very effectively. I think it's going to be hard for Dom to get a kill on Derek. Doesn't mean it's out of the question. Derek's a very athletic, big build for this. But one thing you have to remember is Dom is freaking strong for his size. Just very strong. So would love to see that. And Derek Rayfield has pulled off some major upsets thus far in. So I feel like that's pretty good. Why don't we go ahead and return back to our board right now and get through some of these other ones now that we have talked about the matches. Tim, if you would be so kind, I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit more about the betting odds going into week number 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, these are up to the minute like odds. They could change, right? So, take it for what it is at this point in time. But there's kind of 3 matchups here that I think there's opportunity to make something on if you're looking to make something. And let's jump into those. In week 4, match 5, Anthony Molina Valdez, Sergio Ardilla. Anthony's a minus 300. Ardilla is a plus 240. Look, Ardilla is a great grappler. At a plus 240, I would take that bet. There's not a ton of risk there, and there's a nice little return if Sergio can pull it off, and he very well can. The other matchup is matchup 24. Again, this is with Ardilla, and I think some of these odds are based on their PGF performance. And Ardilla's a little late to this season, but Chandler's a minus 180 and Ardilla is a plus 150. I'd be willing to put some money on Ardilla on that one. There's a nice little return if you could hit it. And the last one's not quite as dramatic, but it is interesting. Ortiz is a minus 130 going up against Thompson at a plus 110. I would take Jet Thompson at plus 110. I mean, there's not a ton of risk in that bet. So if you're looking to play the odds, those are kind of the 3 main ones that I'm looking at this weekend. These odds, they should be up at Bet Online. If you search that out, you should be able to jump on there and place your bets.
Thank you for that, Tim. I appreciate the look into the odds. Why don't we get now into some fantasy news? I mean, you brought up a couple good charts that we'll get into a little bit later, but for right now, what has been the life for the fantasy teams and the fantasy players in the world of the PGF, sir?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there's still quite a lot of activity on the squads, and we will talk about that. But I want to just jump into the leaderboards for the athletes here. So the way that the fantasy PGF points work is they don't just take into account subs, but you also get points for takedowns, for mounts, for back takes. So there's some additional things that you can get additional points for, but you definitely earn points for subs. And so the leaderboard in the fantasy world is pretty close to the leaderboard in the PGF, but I actually think the fantasy leaderboard gives you a better look at who's doing well this season overall with their grappling. And it's a little surprising, but Jet Thompson sitting at the top of that leaderboard with 30 points. He's got 2 mounts, 7 back takes, and only 1 sub, which is kind of odd for Jet. You'd think he'd have more subs, and I think that's going to pick up as we move on. So I think you're going to see him jump up even higher. We got Chris Olivo. It's not a surprise. Papadelos, Dominic Lobo. Same guys are back at the top of the leaderboard right now. When we're talking about like the players that are playing, there's only 2 players that really count, and that's Inside BJJ. And right now, I'm not quite where I want to be. I'm sitting at 100 out of 187 or so. So I have dropped a little bit. I had a dude on my team that I had to have a talk with and pick someone up off the waiver wire. So I'm hoping to turn that around. And I'm trying to find egg on here, but curiously, I I can never find him.
So he's under blue belts don't matter. Is that what I saw him as?
Oh, blue belts are people too. Now he has 100. Now he's number 4. He has 128 points.
Well, look at that. That's so good for him.
Interesting.
You know, Egg really needed that, guys. So I know we like to mess with him and say, like,
yeah, he's whooping me right now, man.
He matters. Egg's a person too. That's important to say. But, like, can you imagine if he didn't win this? Because, like, what are we doing here? So really the question is, can we keep the momentum? Because to the rest of you guys, he put himself here. See, this is, Egg, it doesn't help. I already said it.
Number 4.
You're just not helping matters when you're sitting there being like, number 4. You guys need to know I was actually 4th in this.
Why is he even allowed to play fantasy? I don't think it's actually. I think we should throw his score out.
So I think we have him play in the same way game shows have elements that say, are you smarter than a 5th grader? Like you set him as the bar and then you see if you can clear the bar. So 3 people are clearing the bar right now.
Oh, I
got
you.
Really, the real thing we should be doing is going to those 3 people and saying, like, you are our new fantasy gods. So thank you. We take your advice. Like, and we're going to put the headset on you guys now. So we're just need to get all of that information from you guys.
Well, curiously, the 3rd place team ahead of Egg, the team name is Jet's mom. So there's that.
I hope
it very well could be his mom.
I hope, for the sake of conversation, it is actually Jet Thompson's mom, because the amount of your mom jokes I don't want to do. No. Also, I've met them. They're very nice and kind people, so I don't want to do jokes on them. Yeah, they are. But second of all, could you imagine Jet Thompson's mom saying, wow, I just put some numbers down and I didn't know what I was doing. I just bet on Jet. Turns out if you bet on Jet, you kind of win stuff. So it very well could be Jet Thompson's mom. Oh, we did get an update here. Thank you for proving your worth, Egg. And it says, most by a team this season is 30 by the Twisters last week. Checking other years now. See?
Interesting.
So
Twisters showing up.
So there is that one. And that was due to them going on a tear. So it's not out of the realm. You just need Landon and Chris to really, well, actually, no, it's Landon and Christos. Sorry, Christos. You have to say the last part of the name to lead that one, y'all. Actually, no, is that Chris Olivos? Because that's the Dollarmer team. So it's Chris Olivo. That's been part of it. And Dom Mejia. All right, guys, we're going to now move on over to a new segment that Tim is spearheading here. So I'm intrigued to see what happens. But Tim, you have suddenly become a math guy. And I say this because this is intriguing to me. I didn't get to proofread these stats, but why don't you walk us through what we're about to see here right now?
Okay, so and the reason why I called out in the fantasy that they're given points for backs, mounts, and takedowns, essentially what those are control actions, right? So anytime you establish a greater amount of control, it's just like a point system in a tournament. It's very similar. You're awarded some level of points. So if you just look at these control actions for season 8, there's some interesting data in here, right? So you can look at the top of the leaderboard. There sits Matt Mash, and Matt has, I believe, 10 control actions with 2 mounts, 4 back takes, and 4 takedowns, and he's got 3 subs. So he's looking good in terms of control. Jet Thompson is another guy that it kind of looked like, man, maybe he's underperforming. But when you look at his control actions, he's really not. He's getting great positions. He just hasn't been finding the sub. It's the same thing. And you mentioned this earlier, Rafael Ferreira. Like he looks amazing. You watch his matches and his hair's going everywhere and he's jumping all over the place. And it's like, whoa, he's getting a lot of control positions, but not a ton of subs yet. So it's pretty telling to look at these numbers. JJ Bowers is another guy who doesn't have real high points, but he's got a lot of control. Mike John is up there. Mike John missed part of the season already. So this just gives you a look at who's actually kind of establishing positional dominance, or at least paying attention to it, right? So if we could show the next one, if we add actual subs on this, I know, and I'm glad Christos jumped in there in the comments.
I want to make sure that we put
Yes.
this on the marker, because there's a part of me that wonders, Tim, should we even do the second part of this? We should just leave it at this, because the next chart
leave them hanging
might actually answer your question, Christos. But like, Christos is somebody who feels like this is an attack on him right now. But maybe, just maybe, sir, wait for the second chart. Okay? Just keep that. You know what? Actually, I'm going to keep that comment right there. So why don't we keep the comment there and switch to the second chart, which looks like such.
So this is the finished conversion leaders. Now, look, Christos is not going to like this, because you got to have at least a minimum to get on this chart of 5 control actions. And why do we do that? Well, because if you have a guy who's got 1 sub and 1 control action, then he looks really amazing numbers-wise, but maybe quantity-wise, he's not quite there. But I want to call out Christos in just a second. But look at Chris Olivo. He's over, because this guy's got a ton of control actions, and he has even more subs than the control actions. Matt Mash is looking good. Hoffa's looking good. Jet Thompson's on the board there. So these are guys that they are being classically efficient with their jiu-jitsu. Let's call it that. This is the classic algorithm. This is get a takedown, try to pass the guard, establish some dominant position, get a sub. Now, having said that, Papadelos is the one outlier in this group. If you look at Papadelos's control actions, he only has 2. But he's got 6 submissions. So that tells you that some guys are playing for the control and the sub. Some guys are just hunting the subs. They're playing for the subs themselves, and they're less interested in the control. So what does that mean? I don't know yet, right? I think we need a little more data. I think we need a little more activity. I think we need to see. So he says, y'all are too funny. Listen, my man, I'm giving you props right now. Because I think stylistically what Papadelos has figured out, potentially it seems like he's alluding to it, is that you might not have to play the classic algorithm to be successful in the PGF, given the rule set, given the stalling, given the DQs. It might pay off just to go out there and just sub hunt the entire time.
Let me translate that for you, Christos. So when you started off with your Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding, why not me? The answer is you have points. So I don't know why we need anything other than like, why this chart not show me? Well, because you're outside of it and you're doing really well with it. So it doesn't matter. This is just interesting data sets. And it also helps to explain why the fantasy league has its own series of points that are very fascinating to watch on their side. So that's that. I see this. Back to the grind, boys. Peace. That's a very weird sentence, sir. I don't know if you read that out loud, but pause. And Wallow, you put up a thing here that says, Raph, since Jordan is going to the Thunders, do his points go with him? No, I think he loses them in the custody battle. So I feel like they don't necessarily transfer, because essentially think of it like the team bought you for that moment, so that means they stay with the team. Could be wrong. Don't know. And I see here it says, I said I knew how to manipulate the rule set better than anyone on the roster by far. Thank you guys for proving me right. I don't think we proved anything right. I think we just proved you got a lot of points. Like, there's no master manipulation here. Just getting points is really good. So that's way more better than that. I see a note that says this speaks a lot about the weight class too. Smaller typically goes to play a movement-based game. I mean, Russell, we've got 155ers here that are natural 155ers, and then we got some folks that you look at and you're like, these are like 170s are in disguise. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to say not everybody's a true 155er because they all made the weight. It's just some of these dudes have been eating and they have looked like they have not gained a pound. So if anything, it's further fuel for the fire. I think it's more for us to sit back and say, give us more data, let us crunch it, and let us throw things at Egg so that Egg can answer stuff like this that says, New Hope Regeneration is season 7, day 3, and they had 28 points. It's pretty good. I like that. And it said X Marshall had 27 points on day 2 of season 6. I believe that covers the best 3-team day performances in PGF modern era. I like that we're also in modern era. When did this become classic and old timey? Like it's baseball now. 4 years ago was like ye olden times, the classic version of how this went for the PGF. Nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you.
Why don't we do this, Tim? We are about to advance back to the board. We thank you for this data set. I didn't know necessarily what you're going to be throwing at me today, but that will cover both the fantasy and the stats elements, which brings us to a segment we call the athlete group chat. Now, Tim, for whatever reason, you have been really bad at this. And I wanted to ask, do you actually have access to the athlete group chat?
I do. Okay. I don't follow it that closely though. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I probably should, but man, you know, it's a little tricky to stay up with the drama of 22-year-old guys who like to
you don't want to stay glued to the drama of these children? How dare you, Tim? This is our job.
Yeah,
we have to cover them.
Right.
Why don't we start with an easy one, okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to read you out one of the out of context statements.
Okay.
And your job is to tell me who said it. Not who it's about, who said it.
Who said it, okay.
The first one is, my team would never drink while competing.
Who said it? That would be Hanato Canuto.
Incorrect. That was a layup. That was Andy Varela. And you know, the only reason you didn't get it is because I didn't do it in the Andy Varela impression, which would be, you guys are crazy. My team would never drink while competing. That's crazy. What? Okay.
Okay. Now that sounds like he's saying they did drink.
No,
you know what I mean?
No. See, Andy will drink. His team will not drink.
Okay.
All right. Here's
one. I was close on that one.
I hope not. My dad going to be lit.
I hope not. My dad going to be lit. Their dad. I'm going to go with JJ Bowers. Only because he's a kid.
No. Also, you don't know Mr. Bowers. Mr. Bowers is an upstanding citizen, and he has actually come to the event multiple times and chatted with us.
Sorry, so Mr. Bowers.
A lot. Mr. Bowers, our apologies. No, that one comes compliments of CJ Murdoch, who I also met his family. Lovely to see. CJ, I don't think that your dad would be getting lit at the bar. So how dare you make that assumption there? So there is that. And let me see here if I've got any more. All right, that's good enough to do. And it says, better not have mojitos over there then.
That's going to be Hanato Canuto.
No, Officer Grimy put that one in. So now we know the drink of choice for Officer Grimy is going to be a mojito. Like if you're trying to defeat Officer Grimy, you get yourself a nice little fancy drink and a parasail, and he's going to be on cloud 9. What
chat is this? Is this the season 8 staff and talent?
Coaches. No. We are in the talent chat.
I don't have athlete and coaches.
They put me in there because I think they knew I have to keep eyes on this. And I
Dude,
wasn't wrong because I
I'm gonna get in on
literally,
that.
hold on here. I got tagged in this an egg. Normally, I need a little bit of time to put this stuff on, but you tagged me just in time before we're about to sign off here. And I'm going to cut off the part that plugs your website. So there is, look at this. My man's making a graphic. I'm so proud,
Bubble
Tim.
watch.
Look at this. This is great.
That's awesome.
Egg put up a post that says Bubble Watch. So these are the folks who are on the brink of possible playoff contention. Some of them are currently within the placements that would likely garner them a playoff position. And I see here you've got Anthony Malia Valdez, Dom Lobo, Jet Thompson, Derek Rayfield, Matt Mash, Dom Mejia, just after one day, Rafa Freya, and Zach Schneider. So right away, the thing that should jump out at you. Dominic did it in one day. Can he make more of an impression in the next 2 days? Zach Schneider out for week 4 action.
Yeah.
Does that put him out, or can he sneak back in? And mind you, he snuck in a way where he got a kill. So he might be hunting for further kills. If you're Matt Mash, you're not trying to give up that spot at all to anybody else. And Derek Rayfield, we mentioned that. That's why that match, I put him and Dom Lobo as the one to watch, because I think if one of them scores points, that's also worse for the other person. Because now when you're going up against these other people that are on the bubble, you're taking away their opportunities to score points in matches where they desperately need points. So now it's becoming a little bit of a money ball game. Can you make those points up? And if so, what can you do? And one thing to keep in mind, not for nothing, Anthony Molina Valdez, capable, very good, but has not been steady on increasing the amount of points when he first started off. So is he cooling and this is not the time to cool? Or is he going to ramp up the action in week 4 and roar back with some extra points and hopefully solidify his place? So even though anything can happen, you can get as much as 21 points in a night for an individual. The likelihood of getting that, very difficult. So we might be looking at kind of the point situation right here, right now, Tim.
Yeah.
It's
pretty interesting. Very fluid still.
Absolutely. Tim, I think that's going to conclude it for the pre-show today. Did you have anything else you would like to add, or would you like to tell the people where they can find you, sir?
Yes, sir. You can find me at Inside BJJ on your favorite social media platform. If you're out in Nashville, come see me at 10th Planet Nashville. I just saw one of the homies put in the chat he's going to come see me, so that'll be interesting. And then if you're out in Stockton, go see my boys at 10th Planet Stockton. Great show today. PGF is going to be awesome. Raf, you're killing the show, man. I love what you're doing with the post. Keep it up, brother. Can't wait to see you soon.
Thank you very much for that, Tim. I'll go ahead and close this on out. My appreciation to you. Great work today as well. Thank you for doing some charts. That's usually the business that Egg does. But now Egg, he can feel you coming on his territory. So now he's starting to upload and get a little bit better. You know what? Egg probably made that with AI. I want to investigate that. I'm doing a full-on investigation soon. But Tim, I'll talk with you soon. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching today's installment of the Bullpen. We appreciate you guys. And, you know, this feels like a good place to stop. But what we should do is we should throw to somebody that we love and respect. And hopefully it will be able to get us to the other side of the reporting. Why don't we go and throw to the best guy that we know over at the studio? Is what we would say if we were finishing the show right now like that. But that's not exactly how we're finishing. We're saying thank you for watching. We appreciate you guys. We're also telling you to go join us on our Patreons at Inside BJJ and Grappling Hour. I just put up some new content there, and I'm going to be putting up content as I go back and forth between here and Vegas. I just did an interview last night. That'll go up in a few days, and much, much more. Got so much stuff coming your guys' way. Cannot wait. Also this weekend, I'm going to be out at Whittier, West Covina-ish, somewhere out there. And we're going to have an open mat for Subversive. It's our media day for our athletes. We're going to be getting to know them and interview them. It's going to be a great, great time. So if you're in the area, check us out. Come support us. Give us some love. You'll see the information on the Verbal Tap Stories page. Additionally, if you like what we do, like, comment, and subscribe right now. I'll wait. And thank you for your like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys wherever you're watching. You're supporting the show. You're supporting the PGF, which means you are also supporting the many great people and athletes who are behind it. So we thank you for that. All right, ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the Bullpen. We've had a great time chatting with you guys. We will see you back here. And don't forget, when the show ends tomorrow, make sure to sit back and stay for the post show hosted by yours truly. And we're going to have ourselves a great time. That's going to do it for us here, ladies and gents. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.